talking about career is really interesting, and it's really very hot topics within any organization. Even it's getting harder if we combine it with today's challenges, with the new technologies. Talking about career with the new technologies really opens a new big questions. First big question that we would like to address on today's about the career path. We used to have a clear career path. HR would continue like HR, finance would continue like a finance guy, and so on. But with today's technology, the whole picture gets changed. On our first day during the conference, I met a lady. She's coming from sociology background, and she started a data science career. That would be considered as a big career shift a few years back. But today, that is a normal trend. We can see during our career interviews. Second challenge would be basically how organizations are ready to take that journey on data science career. And that is a big question we would like to discuss. Third big question would be the market. Is our market ready for that journey? We know if we talk about oil and gas, that way ahead. But what's about the other sectors? Are they ready? The following big question is our academia institute. Are they ready to provide us with highly qualified data scientists? At least they can join the job with less effort. So those big questions we need to address. If we don't address them, we're just postponing that issue. So basically today we have a rich panel, combination of startups, medium-sized and large organization. We would definitely discuss those challenges, the skills required by those organizations, and how to fit that data team within the organization data structure or organization structure. Where does it fit? Under which division, under which organization? Does it fit to the CEO, under the COO? So those type of discussion would be basically covering during the session. Both myself and Dr. Jamil are coming also from the supply side of the stream. He's coming from SQU. I'm coming from a private training institute, Code Academy. Both we are trying to supply qualified data scientists to the market. How are we performing? Are we doing good job, bad job? Are we giving enough resources to the market? There is a higher demand? So these type of questions, we would discuss them, inshallah, during the panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sultan. So we'd now like to call on the panel co-chair, Dr. Jamil Darwish Alshaqsi, Assistant Professor in Machine Learning and Data Mining at the Oman IT Society.
I have nothing to say now. I'm just waiting for the panelists to come to the stage, and then we're going to start, inshallah ta'ala. You gave enough introduction.
Thank you. So our next panelist is Khalid Al Huraibi, founder and managing director of Impact Integrated. Next panelist, Aditya Kimji, the managing director of Seeracom. Majid Al Amri, founder and CEO of Thawani Pay. Azzan Al Kindi, CEO and co-founder of Rihal. Saad Al Habsi, Head of Business Partnerships and Solutions at Ooredoo. And finally, Muhamad Raheel Mukhtar, Data Scientist, Huawei Ooredoo Project.
Shukran jazilan, Bashmondes. We did this arrangement just to make it easier to move the mics. Thank you very much. So let us start our today discussion. Let me sit so I don't show odd on this. Fine. So we are starting. Thank you very much for joining us today. Let us do a called kickstart for the discussion. So I'll give you kind of 1 minute, 1.5 minutes to introduce your organization from a data point of view. So what sort of data, how data is identifying your organization. So please.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm very happy to be here, and I think I join everyone else that we are very humbled by the presence of Dr. Amr today here and His Excellency, and thank you so much, Amr, for this wonderful gathering. And my name is Khalid Al Huraibi, and I work in a startup called Impact Integrated. And the reason I'm here today, I'm guessing, is because 3 years ago we started a very ambitious data insights training program that was called 2307. And don't worry, that's not a code that you will need to remember. But we were very ambitious, and we were hoping to prepare 2,307 data scientists by 2025. So we completed 4,000 hours of courses, online and offline, and 255 courses, 4,000 hours, 250 courses for 50 Omani young graduates. And that was all sponsored by PDO. If there's someone here from PDO, please thank them very much. And we were a group, a consortium of with 5 other startups as well.
Thank you, Khalid.
Assalamu alaikum, sabah al-khair, Majid Al Amri from Thawani Pay. Thawani is a fintech startup. Those who are familiar with fintech is financial technologies. We operate in the financial technology space, and it's not only payments that usually people, when we talk about fintechs, they think it's only payments. It's much more than payments. For us, maybe data science and data analysis is one of the hot topics. Unfortunately, if I go back to Dr. Amar's presentation, to what Dr. Sultan and Dr. Jamil has mentioned so far, maybe some of the challenges that we personally face is understanding the importance of data science before we even start adopting data science and data analytics. To many people, the importance of data mining, data science, big data analysis is not yet clear how it will impact your startup, how it will impact your business, how it will help you offer the market a more relevant products and services rather than just following the international trend and offering products and services. We strongly believe in data science, and we started this in Thawani humbly. There's a shortage in the market to find good people to help you do analysis, and actually at the beginning of a startup, we need people help us how to structure the data and how to prepare for the bigger scope that is the mining and analysis and doing the science on the data. Now, as a startup at the very early stage, we need to make sure that we are structuring our data in a way that will help us tomorrow do better jobs. So,
Majid, can we postpone the challenges to another topic? Just make it brief on the data, how data fits in your organization.
Then I think I'll stop here and move forward, and I'll keep the discussion later on.
Thank you, Majid. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My name is Saad Al Habsi, and I'm part of Ooredoo Oman organization. I manage the business partnerships and ICT domain. Most people, when they hear about Ooredoo Oman, they all think about connectivity in terms of mobile and connectivity in terms of fixed. but that's all changing. It's more now looking at services that complement services of customers and consumer and business. And I think big data plays a very significant, huge role in Ooredoo Oman, or in the other operators like Awasar, Omantel, and hopefully Vodafone. It's no longer about the gut instinct. It's no longer about coming up with offers for the sake of coming up with offers. It's about looking at the data, understanding the data, and making unique selling products to the customers that will actually meet their demands. So obviously data fits very well in the Ooredoo domain, and we get the input from various different organizations or business units. So we have the technology, where we look at the radio base stations, understanding where all the users are. We have the marketing analytics, understanding all the, the feedbacks, the survey, the unstructured data. That's something that we look at into a lot. Social media is another thing that a lot of companies are moving towards. So that's the marketing analytics. And then you have the data analytics, which is the core, the engineering department, where it takes input data from all the different business units in order to visualize and picture a story for the business. So that's a little bit small introduction about Ooredoo Oman. Thank you.
Shukran. Assalamu alaikum. Pleasure to be here, and I thank you all for the opportunity. My name is Aditya Kimji. I come from a family business, primarily in construction and building material trade, part of the Ramesh Kimji group. And over the past decade, we've started looking at new industries and diversifying. We formed Seeracom in 2014, and we integrated the critical comms at the airports. In terms of data, obviously we have sensor data, language data, and transaction data. These are the three key factors that we look at. In terms of our conventional business, we're looking at transactional data quite a lot. We've recently invested into a startup called eBina, which is e-tendering. And it's going to be looking at the lower end of the construction industry, which is not serviced, which is not regulated, in terms of improving not only for the contractors, but for the clients, more visibility, more understanding of what their investment is going to be, where their ROI is going to come back. And I think from market data, from costs, from transactions, we can really make our market more aware of how they are positioning themselves for the future. In terms of sensor data, which is what Seeracom looks at, we are quite active in the drone space, drone detection specifically. The technology that we've invested in, which is at Muscat International Airport, it uses machine learning through supervised data, where we're looking at spectrum, changes in the spectrum for the pattern recognition. And this is a continuously evolving subject that requires very unique capabilities because, and I'll finish in a second, but sensor data with images, with video, there's a lot of data available, a lot of data sets available. But when you're talking about the RF space, there's not so much data available. So just like for Oman, where we need to gather our own unique data, in this field, it's a long process.
Thank you, Aditya. And thank you all for bringing me part of this, I think, giant group. My name is Azzan Al Kindi. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Rihal. And also I'm a member of the steering committee for the National Employment Program, reporting directly to His Majesty. A bit of a brief about Rihal. We are a data enablement company. Just like what Dr. Amr said, we look at unstructured data and see how can we get the value out of the unstructured data. Today we operate in 8 countries around the world. We operate in the States, we operate in Europe, in Africa, and just recently we started operation in Indonesia also. Pleasure to be part of this group.
Thank you. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm really honored to be here. Thanks for the comments and thanks for giving me this opportunity and to be a part of this panel. My name is Muhamad Raheel, and I'm working as a data scientist in Huawei. When it comes to the name of Huawei, we all know that it's a big telco giant. Okay, so Huawei basically comprises of, you can say, the network entities, the network nodes, okay, which comprise and which manages the data, the SMS part, the call parts, the services which mobile end users are using, okay. So that's a brief introduction about the telco services of the Huawei. So what I do and what we do as a data scientist in Huawei, we have our own big data solutions as well, okay. And currently I am working with the Ooredoo project. With Saad Al Habsi, okay. So what we actually do, as I just told you, that we have the network entities, network nodes, that is capturing all the data which customers are consuming in form of calls, in form of data, okay. It can be streaming data, it can be social media data, okay. It can be like Twitter, SNS, Facebook, all these traffics. So we derive machine learning algorithms and the analytics technologies to build the customer experience. What is the customer's experience, how they are behaving, how they behaved in the National Day holidays, how they behaved when there was a complete lockdown, okay. So when there was a restricted lockdown, so customers' behavior, their usage, it tends to change from time to time.
Clear.
So that is the basic purpose of our.
Thank you, Muhammad. That the easy questions part on the exam finished. خلاص. Now we would more into up يعني. Thank you very much. So from this discussion we can see that the change of the definition of data. We used to think that data is few records, some relational databases, but from such discussion we can see that that concept has totally changed. Now phone calls, building material, financial information are now considered to be data, and we need to utilize the strength of the data. I'll now go back to Khalid. If I see or review that Global Innovation Index, and I check one of the sub-indices, I would see Oman is #1 in the world, where we have the ratio of the ICT and engineers graduate compared to the total number of graduates. We are #1 of the world, which it means that we are graduating too much engineers, too much ICT, computer scientists, information technology. Now we can see so many organizations, institutes, academia starts their programs on data science, big data, analytics, and so on. Are we going really on the right track? Is there any enough demand for this number of institutes to start different programs, given that our local market is importing technologies? So how to balance between that number of graduation we would expect in the coming few years and the demand of the local market? Can you just discuss that on brief, please?
Thank you, Dr. Sata. I mean, you couldn't ask an easier question. I'm very, very proud that Oman is officially the #1 country in the world in terms of science and technology graduates. That's something. And with regards to the question whether we are on the right track, this reminds me of a story, and it's more of a joke if you can bear with me. So these are these two friends who have a task of going to the 45th floor in a building. So they go into the building and they climb the first floor, second floor, third floor, and on the 43rd floor, Muhammad turned to Hassan and tells him, I have two news, good news and bad news. He said, okay, tell me the good news first. He said, the good news, we are on the 43rd floor of our 45th floor task. He said, what's the bad news? He said, the bad news, this is not the building. So in terms of we are on the right track, I think this is something that is really worth exploring. I think we will get more out of our achievement that we are the #1 country in the world in graduating science and technology people if we understand how can we turn this power into an impact. So we have a lot of talents, but there is no real impact in the market. And I think this is your responsibility, people who are here in the room. And it's basically, there are 3 actions that I think that we can take to turn this achievement of Oman into a real impact in the society. And number 1 is we need to really nail down our purpose. What is the real purpose that we have from graduating all these ICT talent that we have? We have around 5,000 engineers who are job seekers. And if you count the IT and the IT support graduates, they come up to around 20,000 job seekers in IT support, and computer science graduates. So how come when we planned our higher education and our employment strategies, we did not account that we will have 20,000 ICT related professionals? Because we did not nail down our purpose. What is the purpose of this? Is it because we want to dominate a certain sector? Is it because we want to dominate the data sector? What I would propose, number 1, and I see this as your responsibility, because all of you are IT professionals, is that we need to convince together, because I tried to do this when I was in the government and we failed, because the government cannot do this alone. I tried to do it in the private sector as an SME and we failed, because SMEs cannot undertake this big task alone. We need a Together in Tech Purpose program that aims at making Oman convert its achievement in the number of ICT graduates into a real impact that gathers government, ICT and Transport Ministry, the digital strategy, and all the other government entities, along with family companies, big companies, and SMEs in one program that will make Oman dominate the emerging data-related economic sector. From there, I think there are 2 other realizations for you as IT professionals that you need to integrate into your business. Number 1 is, this is something that mentioned, I think, and Dr. Jamil mentioned, is that we are all in the supply side of the market. We're supplying the market with services, we're supplying the market with IT professionals, but we are missing the WTP. Who is willing to pay for our services, and who is willing to pay sustainable salaries for all the IT professionals that we are preparing for the market, that we are teaching and that we are training? We've tried in our programs, we did very well in the training side, because the university did a good job also in preparing them for the market. And I saw this in Web Summit 2 weeks ago. Our young people with startups, they were perfectly bilingual, they were able to engage people. What they were missing is just the understanding of the market. So we need to ask ourselves, and this is something we can work on with the Vision 2040 implementation support unit. How can we stimulate the demand? And I see that we are still doing the same thing in our programs. I saw a wonderful program from the Ministry of ICT and Transport that they will teach people in IoT and Python and in AI as well. But we have to think about this is a supply. Where is the demand side? Where are they going after this? And I think the third thing, and why am I saying you people? Because to be honest, I'm not an IT background, so I get to say you people and challenge you. And because I think the change starts with you guys. Two more realizations. I think in the digital transformation task forces in your companies and your organizations, you need to start leading from behind, not leading from the front. True. Engineers tend to want to control the digital transformation project because they are problem solvers. And problem solving is solving a problem that existed and to be identified and to bring solutions for it. What we are talking about today is growth hacking, something that is for the future. And I love it mentioning that we need to include sociology people, you need to include people from the literature, you need to include people from the legal side, and you need to include even people from political science. I just met someone else with a political science degree. And engineers, as long as you keep controlling the digital transformation in your organizations, I do not think Oman will be able to growth hack the data industry. So please, and I tell this to my government colleagues all the time. In the digital transformation, they give it to the IT departments, because if the IT department is not involved, they will block the process. But that is not the overall national interest of the country. So the number one obstacle, if people talk about challenges, the number one challenge is actually you. You need to stop trying to control the digital transformation process in your organization. Yeah. The last point is we need to pay attention to the world talking about sustainability. Right now, most of the demand for the IT services is for IT services that do not contribute to the emissions. Yeah, and we're in line with net zero.
Yeah, so really that is interesting. So we need to look into the overall picture from supply side and demand side. We need to make that alignment to have enough problems to solve and to give highly qualified graduate to the market so they can lead the discussion. Please, short.
I completely agree with everything that Khalid said and the subject that we're discussing. I think another part of it is also to understand that we need to start thinking of data science as a tool and not as the end product. So when you think about construction, we're not empowering people because they love hammers and diggers and they love building a house. The same way is true, we need to empower the domain expertise with the data scientists. So if you want to empower the digital transformation, it's not just the person with the skill set to apply the data, but it's also the guy who needs to use and evaluate the data.
Yeah, that goes aligned with the example given by Dr. Amr.
Well, thank you very much, Kimji, for your comments. Actually, in machine learning process, there is one of the stages in which really domain experts should be involved in order to make use of your data and understand what should be used for. I'll go back to Khalid, Engineer Khalid. You made too many statements, and I want Engineer Majid to verify some of these statements. You talk about the demand and supply in the market, about the data, and then you said we made an achievement in the number of ICT graduates. So Engineer Majid, I wonder if you could just align the careers in Oman with the visions of Oman's 2040. So just in brief, because I don't know whether we have an achievement, having more graduates, we have a shortage in the industry. So could you please just align, careers with the Oman Vision 2040?
Thank you, Dr. Jamil. And before I answer your question, I go back to Dr. Amr when he said the brain has 3 functions.
We're gonna quote you a lot, Dr. Amr, today.
Yes. So actually, you were able to understand my desire, and I was going to exactly say the same thing to second what Khalid was talking about. Yes, I agree with Khalid, and we are proud that we have a lot of ICT graduates. But unfortunately, I speak from an own experience in Thawani. We struggle to find the right match that we are looking for. And this goes back to the demand side. The demand and supply are sitting in different places, and there is no exactly a full match. We are looking for certain skill sets that we are not able to get into the market. And I talk about basic skills when it comes to development, developers, coding. And operating in the financial technology space, you need certain skill sets. And as a startup, you need people who are ready to deliver. Yes, you will be investing into developing people, but first, for you to exist and sustain and grow, you need people that are ready to deliver. You will shadow them with people that will learn, and you will prepare them for the future. But for now, I need people to help me deliver, to help me sustain, and to help me convince my investors, regulators that we are doing good, and please keep supporting us. It is very challenging, to be honest. We always give priority to the local talents. I'll give you one example and you will be surprised. We interviewed 200 developers 2 years ago and we took none out of the 200. They are not.
Do we have developers here?
Come on, guys.
They are not bad. I'm not saying that they are bad, but they are not the right skill set that we were looking for. The same thing today with data science. We are trying to establish a department for data science to help us structure our data, structure our products and services in a way that tomorrow we can make this data useful to us. And honestly, we are struggling to get the right skill set. So it goes back to what Khalid was saying, to what the discussion was happening, is that do we really match the demand and supply, or there is completely no match? And again, I like what Khalid said about the purpose. Why we are bringing these people? Is it because it's the easiest specialty in the university to go through, or no? It's a planned and it's a very well thought of process of taking people into this domain and producing them to the market to solve a real need or to address a certain issue in the market.
Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Majid. I think we criticize the supply side enough for today. Let me go to the demand side. My question to Saad. We know that, as Aditya said, that data science is a tool. And we do all of this journey, and the ultimate goal is to build a data-driven decision, if you would allow me to say that. So the ultimate goal of whatever we do is to have that decision which is driven by the data. My question is, from the organization point of view, how to build that data-driven culture so that we can retain our data scientists, we can give them the freedom, we give them that try and error experience of data. So how to build that culture within the organization?
I think this goes down to strategy. The organization's strategy and leadership plays a very significant role from the top bottom. I think we've seen many examples of the big tech giants and also companies such as Amazon. It's a data-driven company, understanding the analytics and also making predictive decisions for some of the customers, you know, while surfing and looking for particular products. So I say the number one key thing is leadership and strategy. If the organization puts the effort in actually setting up a strategy or a strategy department that looks into data-driven, you know, analytics, I think this is the first thing that will actually turn and make the organization a lot more competitive. A lot of organizations, probably in the West, are actually using analytics to have the competitive edge. It's no longer about, again, I think I mentioned this earlier, about that gut feeling that should we do this or should we do that? It's actually understanding the data or behind it. We already have so much data. I remember many years ago, there was a meeting with all the undersecretaries in Oman, and someone made a very, very interesting observation and said, we have been inputting data for so long, for so many years, we need to start looking into this data and start making data-driven decisions. Working for an Ooredoo or telecom company, we get millions of those, we get a lot of these data inputs in terms of usage, calls and this, and we've already started doing that now, understanding the business requirements and also looking into investing in skills of individuals.
How are our leaders in the organization, do they start adapting their mindset to that data-driven culture?
Yes, I believe so. I think we just need to look at some of our neighbors in the West, or even some of our neighbors in the GCC region, where they become very successful, and also looking at the results. I mean, the result speaks for itself. And I think, again, I think it takes time. It's not something that can happen overnight, but it's a gradual process. And again, we've been looking at data we've been inputting data for a very, very long time. And it's, if it starts with leadership, I think it will trickle down. It's a top-bottom effect. That's just my personal opinion.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to go to Kimji, because in his introduction he touched many aspects in the machine learning and gave really and he also mentioned how to utilize different types of data from images, videos, and so I want you to elaborate more on this, so at least for the audience to see what are the opportunities which are available there in the industry, so if any one of them want to start, want to go like to start up his own business. So how do you really like utilize the data in the machine learning? And so what are the doors, opportunities for these audience here and also who are attending online?
Sure. I think it's, I'll give you an analogy, which I read in a book recently. They say that a business owner is often defined like an entrepreneur. But in reality, most businesses are like tourists versus explorers, right? And there's nothing wrong with being a tourist. You follow a defined path which has been established and is a successful model. At the end, the goal is to make money, right? So my advice is, especially when you're starting up or you're a new business, the pressure of being an innovative business in everything that you do. It's unrealistic. And this is where machine learning, the tools that are available online, there are so many, data as a service companies available online that anybody could become a provider of these services for any company. Now, coming back to where the opportunities are in Oman. If you look at both the people who are on the panel, Thawani and Rihal and Innovatech, they're taking existing processes and replacing them and enabling them by studying the data. And this is really where the opportunity is. If you know of a business that is successful, but it could become more successful. At the end, machine learning is about pattern recognition. And studying patterns in the data to become more efficient. The worry about losing jobs to this is not true, because it makes businesses more efficient, frees up more time to do more. Actually, you can be earning, as a country, we could be earning a lot more revenue. If people are freed up to focus on decision making, on critical thinking, as opposed to just punching data into computers.
It's good, but when engineer Majid just spoke, he said that, they are really struggling in finding the right or the key people to join their organization. Out of 200, they hired nothing. So, we have many data scientists are attending here. So again, if you could just highlight more on what you basically do for on the machine learning, so at least many of these talents might see the light at the end of the tunnel, and they might approach then Majid, Engineer Majid, at the end of the session.
Sure. So I think in our it's a raw industry, and currently our students are coming out of university with general knowledge on computer science. I don't believe we have many opportunities for students to learn programming in our universities currently. That is something that needs to improve. And when students come out of university with a knowledge of computer science, but no practical experience, it's very difficult to jump into a startup like Majid's and start delivering on day one. And I will echo what Majid said. Yes, there is a need to give students and fresh graduates experience. However, we cannot depend on them to compete on a global level. And at the end of the day, any business needs to strive to do its very best capability. And we don't need to make excuses for not delivering on that as a country. Now, I think during the university time, we need to have more practical experience. We need to have these students coming into the private sector, gaining that experience from on the job. What we do at Seeracom with sensors, honestly, there's no need to reinvent the wheel and create new algorithms. There's a plethora of technologies available online which are not expensive. And these are the best places to learn. And I think if you think about a vehicle, to make it go faster, you don't just replace the engine. You tweak, you modify. So buy somebody else's engine and play with it and add to it and continue.
Okay, I'll move to Azzan now. I can tell from your eyes that you are keen and eager. You have the desire now to participate.
Very keen and very eager.
Yeah. You know, Azan, like in the past, we used to have one statistician who can do all the job, do all the reporting. But like as time passes, the type of the data has changed. Now we have very complex data. We have something called big data. And when it's come to big data and machine learning, you know, it's not about one individual who can do the job. It's about like a teamwork. Some people do the pre-processing, other will do the cleansing and so on. And then it's come to the machine learning in which we're gonna employ the data to extract the knowledge. The question is that, do you think, I mean, like hiring these people, because even like an engineer, Khalid, he said, who's gonna pay the bills? Do you think like hiring these expensive people will make return on investment like as time passes, or it's like a total loss for the company? We have many fresh graduates. Some of them, they have the experience, but again, when it comes to hire them, people are not willing, or organization is not really willing to pay that much. When I requested Dr. Amr like to come back to the uni, he made it clearly. He said, well, I'm well paid now. What makes me to come back to you guys? So so now the question, will this really make a return on investment? I mean, in future, if we hire these talents?
Thank you, Doctor. So I'll touch first on the first point that you've mentioned, where you said one statistician will create the report. This was definitely before my time. Right now, I meet with a lot of organizations, large organizations, here in Oman and all over the world. And I think all organizations now are very well aware about the importance of data. So we basically, we've passed 50%. Awareness is 50% of the journey. So we are at a good place right now when it comes to this part. I want to give an example, just to maybe answer your question, an example that happened internally with us in Rihal. One of the biggest challenges that we have internally is how can we price our services to the clients. It's a huge challenge. If you are a consulting firm, if you have services, even if you have products, such a difficult task to do. So what we've done is we followed the 3 steps. Get the data, understand the data, and make information out of the data. So the first thing is what we've done is we have instructed our developers to fulfill a timesheet. Tell us what you do exactly on a day from an hourly basis. So don't tell me what you do on the day. An hour, you did this, an hour, you did that. And now we have a wealth of 3 years of data. We know exactly how long the developers take to deliver a job. And now whenever we go into a new project, we just refer back to the data. We have a full dashboard, and I can just go to the specific project, and based on this data, I can price accordingly. And now I can even understand what is the sales cycle in Oman. I know I have the number in the back of my mind. I will not share this number. This is such an intellectual property that I have right now. But I basically know from the moment that I speak to a client, when do I expect to get the first job? And this is an internal project that like a startup has built, and it's just easy tools, like Aditya is saying. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. We have the tools online right now. And then I circle back to the question that you have asked. I think that we are at a crossroad right now. We are at a place right now where it's the same as 15 or 20 years ago, where an engineer used to use tools, hammers, but now you cannot hire an engineer if he doesn't know how to use a computer. It's the exact same thing right now. You cannot hire an HR person if he doesn't understand business intelligence. You cannot hire a finance person if he doesn't understand the advanced Excel and advanced ERP. You just cannot do that anymore. The world has changed. Just like 10, 15 years ago, where people had to learn how to use computers, right now, where we stand right now, whatever your specialization is, you need to educate yourself about how to do minimal data manipulation and understand what is the end goal of your data size. So basically, that's
really, I'm glad to hear that, engineer Azzan. I know that startups are much faster growing compared to the bigger organization. And what you said, that one statistician would do the job is maybe 25 or 30 years ago. Really, you would be disappointed to hear that so many big organizations still depend on that one statistician, and they think that the wealth of data they have is just to print, I'm using that word, to print the annual report, and that's it, unfortunately.
Oh my God.
I would like to add one thing about the opportunity, if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
I also, one thing I missed to say is if you are looking for work, the lowest hanging fruit is gathering data, training data for Oman and for the Middle East in general. I'll give you a fact. There's, you know, when Google asks you to verify that you're not a robot, the images that's asking you to verify is either a car, a fire hydrant, a train. You're not actually proving you're not a robot. You're actually helping them collect data for driverless vehicles.
Yeah.
Right? So for us, there's nobody doing that for people that look like us, people that talk like us, our language. And just the effort of collecting that training data will return you a reward if you do it with an end goal in mind.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Let me go back to Engineer Muhammad. We have heard from Majid and maybe Asad as well that there is a shortage of qualified data scientists and people who works on data. When I saw the brochure, I noticed that your job title is a data scientist. So basically, and I can see so many young guys, and every day I'm getting this question from so many students and job seekers: how to become a data scientist? What's my road map to be a data scientist? So if you can just highlight that roadmap or general guidance for a guy to start that path.
Okay, thank you. I think the roadmap, it starts with the aptitude. Okay, most of the times, nobody gets a chance in his or her first job to be hired as a data scientist or data analyst. Okay, let's start with the individuals who are already working. Okay, and they want to end their career as a data scientist or as an AI engineer. Okay, so what do they need to do? Is start connecting their existing knowledge dots with the knowledge they need to get. What I'm saying, for example, I think more than 90% of us use Excel in our job routines, right? Most of us, even HR guy, finance guys, most of us use Excel, okay? So I would give an example that it's a little journey from maybe Microsoft Excel to Python or R, okay? So the same task which we can do at Excel with a bit of trouble, okay? Maybe we can automate it at the tool like Python or R. Somebody use MATLAB as well, okay? Any programming tool, okay? Now, when coming back to your question as a pathway, if you are having a degree from the university in data science, I'm sure that degree itself comprises of those knowledge, those algorithms, machine learning algorithms, and that is a separate story. But if you have already been graduated and now you want to enhance your career towards data science, then I think the best thing is these days is certifications. Okay, there are many certifications available. Okay, and to start playing with the open data, there is a lot of data, a lot of open code at GitHub, Kaggle. Okay, available for everyone. It doesn't demand any registration. It doesn't demand any amount, okay, any money. You just go search whatever you want to do in your organization, okay. This is how I started, okay. I wasn't data scientist at the start of my career. I was there as a VAS engineer, value-added service engineer, working for the maintenance of the SMSCs, MMSCs, something like this. That was start of my career, okay. But There was a time I came at the performance side, start looking into the visualizations, graphs. Then I started to build those dots, to connect those dots. What if I want to be the data scientist? So then I started these certifications. Okay, it helped me a lot in building my skills. Believe me, it helps you a lot. It's just a matter you don't get. I'll finish by just giving you one example. You just don't get the certification for the sake of getting the certificate. That's the main aptitude that we need to develop. You get the certificate to get the skills.
So
that's the most important.
It's a project-based learning.
Exactly, exactly. So play with the data, start playing with the data. Don't be shy with playing, and don't be shy with playing at Python and R and all these tools. You will really feel a difference, and you will really start getting opportunities in different organizations for sure.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to go back to Engineer Azzan again. I love like quoting people when they made statements. You stated that people need to educate themselves. Where, in fact, like I'm still confusing because Kimji stated that education itself is not enough. They need practical experience. And Engineer Muhammad just stated that they need to play with Python. Again, we have played a lot with Pythons and many other open source tools. It's about like having an opportunity to go to one of the organization and learn from there. So are you guys willing to offer like for these guys any sort of chances to come and like learn in the organization? What is your advice? I mean, even for your colleagues here, I mean, if they just, I mean, give the chances for the graduates at least to enhance their skills, to scale up their like talents, and so by having a chance to do some practical work. It's not about education, playing with tools, as Engineer Muhammad just said.
Dr. Jamil, I may add on that, and this is a good question to Azzan. He's coming from engineering background and ending up doing a programming side, which is sometimes hard to find with our engineers. So that is a good question for the right person, I would say.
Yeah, that is true, Dr. Sultan. I'm a mechanical engineer by trade, and I worked in the Schlumberger, which is as a petroleum engineer, basically, and then I landed into this field. So my advice is, better to give you an example, I think. My head of data science, like the head of data science department in Rihal, which is a data company, is a civil engineer who studied his master's in data science. That is just how it is. I think engineers may have an advantage because, as we have mentioned, they are problem solvers, and we have seen over and over again that when it comes to data science, it's all about problem solving. And it's the same thing with software development. I think if you have that critical thinking, problem solving, and then you have gone like 20–30% of the way. That is a very important part. The other part is there's a course that I recommend everyone to do, which is, it was like 2–3 years ago, it was Microsoft data science program. That was the standard back then. Today, however, that standard has changed. It's IBM's data science course. It's an 11 months course. It's a very intensive course. It's online. It's free. You can go in, anyone can go in there, and you can do it. I think you can do 3 hours a day, and you'll complete it in 11 months. If you finish that course, then you can just come in. I want to touch on a point that Engineer Majid and Khalid have mentioned is, I am from the demand side, and I see problems with the supply. I definitely stand on that part. We are a company that have started back in 2019. Today, we are more than 85 people in the organization. We hire every week 3 to 4 people, every week. And I gave the HR a mandate to close the year with 100 people. And next year, we are hiring 100 people, inshallah. That is the plan. And there is demand. I can tell you there is demand. We just need the right people in the right place. Currently now...
CVs are ready, yeah?
Yeah, and that is the... The other thing is, go to rihal.om/careers. I'm advertising right now, but
do you have your business card?
I am using the stage to get more intelligent people. Careers, there is a challenge there. It's a software development challenge, a very simple challenge, and it touches on data science and software development. Finish the challenge, and I assure you, you'll get hired.
So we managed to push him to open the position. So next, then we need from you as well. Then.
So We too have been recruiting. We've hired a couple of fresh graduates. A lot of them have been.
So hundreds here, and how about you?
Not as many, but what ends up happening is I hire someone. I'm very picky.
Someone?
No, no, I'm not finished saying what I'm saying.
Okay.
Literally, we've hired 10 Omanis.
Let's push him.
We've hired 10 Omanis. Each
10.
of them, after 6 months, they go to PDO, they go to somewhere else.
Oh.
So we've become a nice vacation spot on their way to the government. No, we want to find people who can add value. Okay. We're very committed to that. Senior people in our company are Omani as well now in Seeracom. I would say that, you know, as the new Twitter generation loves to complain about things companies are doing wrong, right? You see problems when you're in line in Ooredoo or in, you know, sorry to pick on you. But
customers are always right.
Customers are always right. But if you have the skill set and you want practical experience, rather than complaining, go to the company and offer a solution.
Coffee.
Yeah, coffee.
Coffee
exactly.
The secret.
If you think there's a way to improve customer service, that you think you can better that company, offer that solution as maybe a paragraph and hope that maybe you'll get hired. Because I think rather than saying, these are my capabilities, go and tell the company, know about the company when you're being interviewed. Don't go to Rihal and say, I heard you're a good company. Tell them, why do you think Rihal is a good company? Why do you think Thawani is changing the space here? Going to the company and just expecting a job because of your skill sets is not enough. You need to go to that company with the understanding of what that company is and what you can do for that company.
That's great.
I would actually just like to add to that, and probably seeing a lot of graduates in this, I think one key skill is negotiation and selling yourself. Don't be afraid of your capabilities. You know, I know there's a lot of people who are talented out there, and unfortunately, they get nervous in this. Practice makes perfect. Good practice makes perfect. So always don't sell yourself short. Don't be afraid of yourself. So sell yourself, negotiation, and presentation. This is the soft skills that will actually get there. You might not get hired because you're feeling a little bit nervous or anything, but I believe so. Passion, demonstrating that passion and saying that we want to work for this company because we have this sort of value and this is the value that we can add, can make a big difference rather than just going to the company, as you mentioned, going to the company and say, you know, I have a certification in data science. That's not enough.
Saad?
Yep.
If the mic is still with you now,
Yes.
I'll just combine two questions
Sure.
to you. Interesting questions. One problem highlighted by Aditya, saying that we hire somebody, stays few months or 1 or 2 years, and they move out. Yep. So, and the second point you highlighted, the skills.
Yep.
So, assume that you are doing an interview for a candidate on a data science field. So what sort of skills you are looking for? And once this guy was recruited and hired, stayed with you for 1 or 2 years, what sort of retention policy you would apply within the organization so to ensure that he or she continue for at least a couple of years, not withdraw in 1 year?
So obviously we'd be assessing the core skills, understanding, is this individual capable of actually delivering what he needs to deliver? But besides that, I also think we are no longer in the age of just sitting in a box, you know, inputting data. And as you mentioned, Dr. Sultan, inputting data and, you know, printing out annual reports or doing whatever. It's about being multidisciplinary. You have to have, I'm not asking you to be an expert in these domains, but whenever you go to a particular company, understand the company and also work on the soft skills, communication, presentation skills. These are the two areas because the things are changing. Employees are expected now to present to management, to leadership, to senior managers. It's no longer that, you know what, I'll just get this information, leave it there and just do it. So these are the soft skills are important as much as the core skills. So it's a communication, presentation skills, critical thinking, thinking out of the box. Scenario, when we ask scenario-based questions, how do you handle this, you know? So this is something that also plays a major role. With respect to retention, I think this is not an easy question. It could probably, there's a whole lecture about this, but I think one of the things for ensuring employees stay is coaching and mentoring. If individuals see there's someone looking after me, coaching me, and there's the likelihood of individual will stay. People don't leave companies because of managers, they leave companies because of, individuals leave companies because of companies, but if there's someone there sitting there, I'm not saying all of them, there could be many reasons, but I think the biggest influence on a graduate is someone coaching them, mentoring them, showing them the roadmap. This is where we'd like to sitting down with them and tell them, and asking them the question, having that feedback conversation, where do you want to go? I think this is one of the ways of actually retaining. It's no longer based on HR, but I think it's an organization as a whole, as a culture of actually ensuring that we want to work for this particular company because it adds A, B, C value.
Thank you very much. Khalid, I think you need to say something to comment on this. Just, I'll ask you a question and then you can.
Three questions.
Well, you are near me, so easy to ask.
You know, I'm taking care of these guys. So you take care.
See, referring back to Dr. Saamar's presentation, maybe on his last slide was basically listing some opportunities and saying that, okay, we need data engineer, data architecture, data visualization, data modular, and we can go ahead with listing about more than 20 job roles on data science side. So looking to our organizations, whether it is medium-sized, large organization or startups, how to have sort of a trade-off between the size of the organization and that number of roles required with the data. So we need to cleanse the data, to collect the data, to engineer the data, to visualize the data, to model that data. So what would be the trade-off about that number of data scientists or data team members within a medium-sized organization, I would say?
Thank you. I think probably the easiest way is to apply a life cycle policy. Is that, the project that you are embarking on, that is related to data science, you need to know how many people do you need with the basic skills, how many people you need with medium skills, and how many people you need with really advanced data architecture skills. And we had an experience with this with the ICT group, I think around 2 years ago. There was a huge project in a GCC country, but we noticed one thing, that the minimum years of experience that they wanted in all the categories that Dr. Amar's presentation mentioned was 6 years. Whereas in a nascent emerging field like data science, especially in Oman, the top number, you probably, and maybe Azzan will back me up, you will have maybe people with 2-3 years experience in whether it's in enterprise AI or data architecture or data analytics. So what you need to do is that to work on a life skills, that I will not aim for hiring around 20 people who have to be data architects, but that I will hire these people because I need people who would, for example, do that. You need 4 things, right, as a data scientist, and I always encourage people who are embarking on data science career is not to do everything at once. First, they need to know where can they add value. Is it in the data cleaning, or in the data structure, or in the data analytics, or in the data visualization? So then we need to apply a life cycle approach to that. Do I need them in the early stages, medium stages, or advanced stages? And this way you will build your organizations. When you hire them, you will tell them that you will grow together, that you will grow them from basic data scientists into medium level, and then until they reach the levels of experts. And this way, this feeds in the question of hiring and retaining people. And this is something that I encourage both of us as individuals, as companies. Now in the world, it's not about projects that bring you money, and it's not about taking the job that will bring you money. What you first need, You have to change the mentality from what can I put in my CV that will convince people when I go to the interview, is what will make people come to me. And in the field of data science, people will come to you if you know your value. Do you know your value as a data cleanser? Do you know your value as someone who is very good in data structure? Do you know your value in data analytics or using Python or R? Do you know your value as a data visualizer using Power BI or Pentaho or something like that? When you know your value, you will excel in it and you will make companies come to you. But if you try to do everything at once, you will be medium skills in all of them and no one will
But
come to you.
HR managers are looking for that unicorn.
Yes, no, I think what you need to look for during COVID, I should add this to my LinkedIn profile. I became a Netflix expert. And what I would like you and encourage people to actually do after this day is to look at one documentary that is called A Faster Horse. A Faster Horse. And did you know that the person who came up with the legendary Ford Mustang, one of the best machines ever, was fired from his job after leading that project and completing that project? So the story of the faster horse is that 100 years ago, when they asked Henry Ford, where did you come up with the fantastic idea of a car? Did you ask people? He said, no, if I had asked people, what do they want? They would have told me that they wanted a faster horse. So I encourage hiring managers is that when you're looking at people, you need to realize, are the people in front of you, are they faster horses? Or are they someone who's advanced as a car? I drive a Lexus. I tell people I drive a Lexus, but it's actually like 2009, 2008 when they started making Lexuses. If I give you a choice now after this to go home, do you want a faster horse or do you want a Lexus to go home or to go back to work? And there are people who will say, I want a faster horse if it's free. There are people who want to say that they will want to ride with me in my fantastic 99 Lexus. And there are people, if I offer them a space shuttle, they will ride in the space shuttle. And that will probably be 5%.
To go home, bank driving 4 hours.
So even in this room, we have so many people who will only be happy with the faster horse. These are not the people who will make your organization grow. As soon as I talk to a business owner and he says that the purpose of my company is to make money, I know that this person is the faster horse type. Yeah. The purpose of this of an organization or even individual is to create value. When you know how you create value, the opportunities will come to you and you will not need to make them. So please, I know this is not a lesson learned from a prestigious event like this, but watch Netflix, watch Faster Horse, and hire only people who are looking to be growth mindset. People who will be cars, not the people who will be faster horses.
Thank you.
Yes, you deserve claps. Hiring people and then all of a sudden they walk out to another organization. A very sad and touchy statement said by Kimji. The question is that there is a say that machine learning will eliminate some jobs. So either Al Kindi or Kimji might answer these questions. The reason for these guys like to walk out of the organization, is it because they found out that they have nothing to do there, machines already took care of everything, and they have been just hired for the sake of humanization, or because they found another opportunities? What do you think the main reason behind this? Because it's really touchy, you know?
Yeah, so I think to machine learning, first of all, we're not going to lose opportunities and jobs. I don't believe that at all. I think the efficiency that it will bring to organizations will create more and more opportunities for people. In terms of retention, I will speak for my own examples. I've never hired anybody for the sake of hiring them, even with the regulation. The people that we have hired, I listen to the universities, I talk with the vocational training people at these universities, and I look for people that are hungry and want to have continuous learning. And the reason I'm losing them is because the government and these organizations see that in these people as well. And unfortunately, I cannot afford the same things that PDO can afford. I don't think many private organizations would be able to. Having said that, I'm very proud of these guys who have moved on and found these opportunities. We wish them nothing but the best. And I hope the short time they spent with me prepared them even better for the opportunity that is coming to them. One of these guys, I'll speak about him. He was working extremely hard for us at the airport, dealing with all kinds of tasks. I don't really think a job title is that important at a startup, because at the end of the day, you want your account guy to know everything about the processes and the businesses that you're doing, just like you want the guy on the field to understand your finances. Because at the end of the day, maybe taking a client for a meal or spending something on yourself, or when you choose if you're working on a site near Buremi, should I maybe go for the 250 Riyal option for the month versus the 300? You want him to be thinking about that, not just the manager. Because at the end of the day, it's your bottom line. And you want to sustain and you want to put value, you want to bring value to the organization. At the end, you need the organization to be able to self-sustain and not have to keep looking for finances or borrowing.
Great. My question.
Can I
okay.
say one
Sure, and keep the mic. I'll ask you a question. No worry.
This is actually a story that I even told HM about this very specific story. One of the things that it's very unfortunate that I have to say the story, but I've lost one person who has left my organization with a lower salary. He went to another organization with an actual lower salary than what he's being paid here. And the reason was he went to ROP. It was a more quote-unquote sustainable job. Yeah. And when I talked to him, the guy doesn't want to leave. He says that I want to stay, but my parents are pushing me to leave. So this is an awareness part that I mentioned before. Is we need to make the other generation aware that yes, it's true that working for the government is one thing, but now working, and if I was just graduating now, I would be honestly more than honored to be working in Thawani, because I can see this application day in, day out.
We're all willing to work in Thawani, all of us, yeah? Well, Thawani is ready to hire us, I believe.
That is true, yeah, but that is from my generation. But that is true for my generation. Whenever we go a generation deeper or even further, then that is a different story. And the awareness in working in startups.
We see that really during, even with the students, when they enter the university or the colleges, sometimes they struggle in their studies, and once we start discussing with them, they said, oh, our parents pushed us to this specialization, and that also propagate after graduation, getting married, so to have somebody, so they ask you, where do you work? Is it in the government or is it in the private sector? So still that culture-based, we need to improve it somehow. Talking about Thawani, can we pass the mic to Engineer Majid? I have a tough question.
Jobs.
Jobs is the last question we would ask for. Okay, so now within any organization, data sits somewhere. Normally, our IT guys would take care about the data. But unfortunately, most of our organizations are missing that data strategy, where it defines the governance of that data, who owns the data, who have the privilege to access the data. Whenever they complain about corruption of the backup, they would blame the IT. But whenever they need that data or the IT ask for that data, they would never give it because of the confidentiality of the data. So that sort of discussion within the organization would continue. unless we have a clear policy. So my question, maybe you answered from Thawani's experience, where that data teams fit in the bigger picture of the organization. Is it really reporting directly to the CEO, reporting to IT, or it is an independent unit within the organization? So how do you see that point?
Well, doctor, for a startup, it's a bit messy compared to very well-established companies. Yes, I maintain the title of a CEO, but you should see us in the office. We do everything. Yes, so for a startup, it's a completely different. And that's why now we are hunting data scientists. We are planning to establish a department for data science to do exactly what you asked me to answer. Today, it's a little bit messy. Today,
well,
it's
at least you have a vision. Now, before getting that data science department, you should think where it should be seated.
Yes, yes. Currently, doctor, it is managed by the PMO office and reported directly to the CEO. And access to data is very controlled even in the system design itself. So the system is designed in a way where permissions has been set and who can access what and who can see what. And it's not only because of what we want and what we wish, it's also we are a regulated entity. And part of regulation will tell you exactly who can access the data and who does what. We also work with entities where sensitive information are kept into our system, and parts of the agreements with them is also who sees the data, how the data is encrypted, and who access the data. So it's not only your own policies and procedures, it's also your partners' requirements, and it's your regulators' requirements. It's a bit vague, it's a bit messy. We are trying to structure it, and this is how startups work. They start a little bit messy. It's there in the DNA. We do it in a day-to-day. Everything is structured. Systems are designed in a way where data is very structured. We do, for example, like log capturing, log analysis, and as unstructured data, and we also have the structured data. We do audit trails. We capture every single action in the system so that tomorrow we can get back to this information and make better decision and make more relevant products, either for the customers or also to enhance our own operations. That's why now we see it is critical after 3 years or 4 years of a lot of data into the system to start using this data. That's why now we're very aggressive that next year we have to have someone in place to help us first confirm that we are capturing the data the way we should, and to start using the existing data to help us make better decision and more relevant products.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'd like to go to Engineer Muhammad, who's sitting next to me and been quiet for a long time. I realized that when they start talking about retention, you were a bit happy and say, oh, we haven't experienced this. My question is, what retention policy do you adopt in your organization which ensure that you will not lose talent, you won't lose people with experience? So we can actually just exchange knowledge and experiences. So do you have any retention policy which is employed in your organization to ensure that people won't walk out? It's like, in some organization, they take the data and they do something which is called customer churn to ensure that customer won't move from company A to company B, and they try to meet the satisfaction of that customer. So is it really because you pay them well, because it's about a matter of payment? Someone said that recently, or I don't know. Could you please just elaborate on this?
Sure. The retention policy in my organization, it comes up with the encouragement of continuous skills improvement. That is one of the aspect. And let me give you a little idea that how my organization works, how Huawei works. Basically we are the custodians of the network. Telecommunication network. Okay, how we do it? It is basically divided into the front office engineers and the back office engineers. Okay, so the front office engineers, usually they are the guys who come up in the roster of 24 hours, 8-hour shift or 12-hour shift, 365 days. Okay, there's a different roster for each department. And then there are experts named as the back office engineers, okay? So the company encourages the retention in a way, to avoid retention in a way. If someone is leaving from the back office, okay, they first try to look into the guys who are coming as in the front office engineer. They tend to shift those front office guys to the back office because they are the guys who are more in pain, to be honest. I mean, it's not easy to work in the shifts, okay? It's not easy to stay awake in the night shifts and all those things, okay? So the company giving them chance because they are already part of that organization. If they have right skills, so they are the guys who should be fit enough to be the part of back office, okay? And then, of course, there is a continuous process of Huawei certifications itself in Huawei as well, okay? You keep doing certifications, and we know that all organizations are shifting from the traditional infrastructure, traditional hardwares towards the cloud-based hardwares, okay? So Huawei is also moving itself towards the cloud-based platform. So it's all a part of different skills. You keep on getting those skills, and it's the organization responsibility that they will retain yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much, Muhammad. And I think we are reaching to the end of our session. But before closing, we have maybe 4 minutes. I would just distribute it to all of you. We are closing with opportunities and promises. And I can see many job seekers around looking for a career on data. We have hundreds, maybe thousands watching us online. So what sort of opportunities in terms of training or job opportunities your organization can offer? In a few minutes we can.
Hundreds already secured here.
Yes, there are 100 secures there.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think so the question is, where do business opportunities come from?
No.
Sorry, I mean for...
Yes, are you promising any training, at least a training opportunity on data science and job opportunities?
Of course. Please feel free to reach out for business opportunities that are related to training data science. One quick note on retention policy. The only retention policy that you need to share this thought with your HR is a business development policy. Your next business opportunity will come from your employees, your former students, your former associates. The problem now with companies is that they think themselves as a modular unit, as an independent unit. You need to think yourself as a network. And if your employee leaves you today, they might be the next business opportunity for you. So don't think that, don't only think of the loss that the HR is telling you about hiring new people. Think of the business opportunity that this employee is leaving you and going, for example, like Azzan said, to the police. They might be your next customer.
Thank you very much.
So this is the opportunity. Thank you.
Very quick and short.
Figure.
Yes. We do have opportunities as training or as direct hiring. Anything in data science, anything in development in general. And system architects, for sure, we are looking for more people, UI, UX. So if any of the audiences, either physically or online, maintaining such skill sets, please feel free to reach out.
During the break, please.
Yes, Ooredoo Oman annually they conduct opportunities for training. So it doesn't matter what background you are. If you're in engineering, in finance, accounting, marketing.
We are looking for data science now.
Data science.
Yes.
If you join Ooredoo, one thing I can guarantee you, you will not be focusing on one particular job, but a multitude of tasks. So that's one thing that I can assure you if you sign up in the Ooredoo website and join the training program. So that's something.
What's job opportunities?
Job opportunities, what I can say is, if sometimes, and I've seen it with some individuals, if they like a particular and adding a lot of value, sometimes they can actually make them be part of the organization. So there is opportunities in that space.
Aditya?
Another 100.
On the panel description, they didn't mention that both of you are working for Ministry of Labor.
Well, that is our national.
So I will say on three fronts. The first being in Seeracom, we're trying to develop SOPs for end customers, standard operating procedures using CCTV, access control, and comms. So if anybody in the group that is playing with machine learning, that has an application for utilizing any kind of sensor to make security or surveillance better, come to me. I will fund you to prove that that concept would work. We can do an experiment either with us or we'll try to one of our customers. The other thing is that we've invested in Ibina, as I mentioned. We are looking to hire people. And one of the aspects that we're going to be looking at is machine learning in defining rates and how we can utilize the data to better make our customers aware. So it's starting at the ground floor. We're looking for people to get involved with our mission. And finally, as an investor, if you have a business idea that makes sense using data science and you share with me a real problem that we can solve, I will invest in you.
Thank you. That's great. Oh, thank you. Thank you. لا 100
secured.
Well, so basically we had put a job post this week for data engineers, .NET developers, full stack developers. We are looking, we are hiring, but I'll speak on another front, if I may. I really commend you, Dr. Sultan and Dr. Jamil, for this. As someone who comes from Tashghil, I think employment is quite an important thing, and we need to target specific specialization so that we can fulfill the national mandate.
Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, I'll just make a quick note that there are trainees who are already working in my department, okay? And one of them was hired last week. They are just fresh engineers, okay? So our higher management, they already have a plan of, in the form of the internees, okay? They get the fresh graduates from the universities, okay? And they work directly with the departments and ultimately getting hires as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the panelists for these insights about data science. I would like also to thank Dr. Jamil for joining me on this chair. Thanks to all of you for keep hearing us for the past 2 years, not 2 years, 2 hours. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. We are running short of time.
During the break, you can catch them.
During the break, we can catch up.
Okay.
Can you put your hand up? I didn't see you. Yeah.
عليك بهم عيل.
Whom do I give the mic? Said.
أشوف الأيادي كلها فوق ما شاء الله.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Thanks for all the audience and especially thank Dr. Amr. شوية عتب لأنك he was quick. He was. I'll make it quick. First of all, it's matter. Maybe this is even to you, Dr. Amr. In terms of, we know that Oman is number one in terms of number of graduates. But unfortunately, I think it's been touched by all the panels. It's not a matter of quantity, it's a matter of quality. I think this is also part of the education, the quality of teaching. This is one. Second thing is also, this is to me, as I'm working in private sectors, I think the training program need to be changed. Before you was being sent it for 2 months, 1 month as a training, which is, I'm sure for IT, it is not enough. Normally, it needs to be a long journey training program. In Oman Oil, we started 1-year program. Unfortunately, it's not for IT, it's mainly for other sectors. And last question, maybe Dr. Amr also in terms of now after COVID, how this impact the job. We know so now most of the people, they work from home. Now as a private sector, why I need to recruit somebody where I can get somebody who can do this work to me while he's at home? Is it to make more chance or opportunities to get more jobs, or it's the other way?
Dr. Amr, it's all to you.
No, it's to all the panelists, with all the respect.
I think the panelists can take the first part. Zaid, thank you very much. On the second part of this question, I think it's critical, and I would have actually loved to talk about it, which is the gig economy, where people can be hired to do work on task-oriented employment. They can do a task. That way, the impact of their skill, which Khalid talked about in his first interjection, the impact of your skill can be wider, and the influence and the value that comes of it, from it can be a lot bigger. I do agree with your second point, which is why should we hire expensive people full-time and then have the burden of having to have a retention scheme to keep them? The more skillful, the more ambitious, and the more expensive people are, the more likely that they will be looking for a job if you stop giving them meaningful tasks. On retention, there is the magic formula. It's magic. It starts with M, the meaning of the job. You know, the fact that they see there is a value from the job that they do. The A stands for autonomy, and that's something you can't get in big companies. You can get it only in the smaller companies where you make your own decisions. You see the impact of what you do. G is growth, and I think you mentioned it. People look for not only personal growth, but they also want to see that their organizations are growing. And I is impact, which Khalid started with. What is my impact on society, on my company? What is the impact for me as an individual? Everybody has, in everything that they do, at the back of their mind, something, what's in it for me, right? And last but not least is connection. Did I make a real connection with the people that I work with or work for? That is the magic formula for retention. And it is very difficult nowadays for any organization to hire people full-time. And even I was just telling them, the reason I got paid better because I am not a full-time dean. I am a non-resident dean. They pay me for time. So, and I go for a week, 2 weeks, I get paid as long as I am working. I could be there for a week, but get paid for only 2 days. Because the principle in what Said is prescribing, which is freelancing, gig economy, is you produce or perish. If you're not producing, you're dead. And when you're producing, you're being paid for, and not a single entity can afford you. I'm glad Said raised this matter, and I think in our next conference we should talk about the rise of the gig economy to solve the affordability as well as the retention problem that we are facing. Thank you, Said.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Amr. We can take 1 or 2 questions maximum.
مرحبا السلام عليكم. مرة ثانية معكم سعيد غيرة. اوكي سعيد السلطي. عندي بعض الملاحظات أولها للدكتور عامر. Nice to see you. ولك دكتور سلطان، مهندس ماجد ومهندس عزان، وحتى الأستاذ خالد نفس الشيء. بس باختصرها يعني ما أريد أطول عليكم. So first, Dr. Amr, it's really happy to see you because I'm trying to meet you since 14 years ago. Really, for me, as my mindset that I'm thinking something, I want to see it in the future. That's why I'm trying to see you since that time. Okay? But then you left that position and you have new position, and as you mentioned now recently, how you work actually. This is how I want to see people, how they work and how they gain money and how they can be more productive, wherever they are. So please, after this session, if we can have a meeting here or somewhere else, that because I have something I want to discuss it with you deeply.
We have a nice coffee break.
Yeah, please. Okay. Then my questions to Engineer Majid. I am startup, and I remember you started, I think, 11 years before, and you suffered too much in your startup and in your field. And I'm suffering the same now, because what you have started before, no one listened to you. No one understood what you want to achieve. And you finally got a license from CBO only last year. Okay? So the same what I'm trying to do now, no one understands what I want to do now or in the future here in Oman. So I'm thinking to do this now. Actually, this month I thought that to go outside Oman to do it. And then after a couple of years, I may do it here in Oman. Anyway, so you mentioned about the jobs. Last year you interviewed 200 candidates, and you couldn't find the right person. You will not find as a fresh graduates, because as a fintech organization, we don't have this much of graduates. You can find them. So I hope that you consider, I think you mentioned in one point, to take the same approach of Engineer Azzan. He promised that he's going to recruit 100 employees by next year. To compare Azzan as a startup, as entrepreneur, to some of our big organizations, their actually revenue around 200, 300 millions a year, and they are recruiting only 6 fresh graduates in their plan for the next year. But see the difference there and here, okay? But his new jobs, I think 4 jobs you have launched a few days ago, but what are their designation? Full stack developer, web developer, full stack .NET developer. If he will make sure to find certain people as full stack, he will not find here in Oman, even outside Oman, okay? But he will give opportunity. Okay, you come, you have certain skills, but I'll give you this certain of time, you improve your skills. And he's doing that as a roadmap mentioned by Al Habsi as well, okay? So this is actually, we have talented people, but they don't have the ground that they can improve themselves.
Yeah.
And there is, I think, one example in last summer, I have participated in one program. I don't want to take much time, sorry for that. And I made a team, one graduated 6 years ago. She doesn't have a job till now. And another one in the last year in SQU, okay? But we built something, they learned within 2 months in a framework on Python, but I didn't expect that they will achieve such knowledge in those 2 months.
Definitely.
So they want only opportunity to do this.
We do believe that Omanis graduate are good graduate. They need only opportunity, and they need, we trust them, and we all do trust Omani graduate. Let me finish this, please. So basically, whether it is any one of the panelists, they do believe in Omanis. They give opportunities. We heard a lot of training opportunities. We understand that fresh graduates are not ready to the market, but definitely we can make them ready through some bridging training courses, either SQU through Dr. Jamil, through Code Academy ourselves. We are committed to take those job seekers, fresh graduates, to give them the business needs requirement so they can immediately join the job market easily. Thank you very much.
Shukran.
Thank you very much for this to everybody.